everybody, SonGoshuaku here, and welcome to this review for WWE's NXT Takeover New Orleans. So let me just be honest, this is going to be my initial thoughts basically on the show from the first time I viewed it about a week ago when it aired on the WWE Network, and man, I'm going to be honest, this definitely was the event of the night, the event of the entire weekend in terms of WWE programming. I definitely thought it was much better than WrestleMania from top to bottom. One of the best NXT takeover shows we've ever had. Maybe the best one. Who knows? Maybe it could be. Might have to think about that one. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into things. Things kicked off heavily with the first ever, the ladder match for the NXT North American Championship. So this is the mid-card title that they've added to NXT, and it featured EC3 versus Killian Dane versus Lars Sullivan versus Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream versus Ricochet. Now, I actually don't follow the NXT as of this recording, not like I used to where I would watch it weekly, so I just kind of been only following the TakeOver show, so I just think the video packages do a really good job of hyping everything up and explaining to viewers who don't watch on a regular basis exactly what they are seeing. That being said, I like you had the band at the beginning playing the theme song for NXT. You know, it had a really cool vibe in terms of getting you pumped up for the show and everything, so that was really awesome. But this match was insane. You had spot after spot after spot after spot. I mean, you had everything. There were so many things like Ricochet doing like 450 splashes off the ropes, being almost thrown off a ladder by Lars Sullivan, and turning it into a backflip, or a moonsault. That was pretty cool. You had a lot of stuff by Killian Dane doing some epic stuff and just like slamming people through the ladders. Like Lars Sullivan set up a ladder on the outside and he slammed I think it was it Velveteen Dream through it, and yeah, EC3 through Velveteen Dream, and then there was a second spot where they went through the ladder where Killian Dane had basically just landed right on Adam Cole. Adam Cole took a lot of, no, not Adam Cole, but I think it was Ricochet. He had took a power bomb, I think, from EC3. I'm just trying to remember right here, so please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. He took a power bomb. Was it either from EC3 or what was it, Velveteen Dream onto the ladder, and there was the spot where I think a ladder was placed on Velveteen Dream, and Killian Dane came crashing down. Like, oh man, very painful looking stuff. You just had crazy spots. I mean, you even had Dream do his rolling DVD to Ricochet on the ladder while the crowd was chanting, "Please don't die." What other spots? There was just so much. Please forgive me. There was so much that went on in this match. One thing after the other. If you haven't seen it, see it. It is incredible. You had all the guys climbing the ladder. Just really good. Everybody shined. Everybody looked good. Too many spots to go over this audio review would be too long, but definitely go ahead and check it out. In the end, though, it was Adam Cole who tipped the ladder over, and Ricochet took a pretty sick-looking bump on the ropes, and the man sold like crazy. And Adam Cole, baby, is your new, or not new, he is your first NXT North American champion. So this was a really cool match, especially knowing he's going to have to come back out for the tag team championship match. Alrighty, yeah, so moving on, next is the NXT women's championship match. Ember Moon defending her title against Shayna Baszler. Now, I liked this match a lot. Wasn't as obviously as fast paced. I mean, that's a hard act to follow, that ladder match, but what I really loved about this match is the psychology. It's really cool. I love seeing brilliant psychology in wrestling. When you have good psychology, makes the matches make a lot more sense, and that's exactly what you got in this match. One of the first cool things, though, is that the band Hellstorm did the entrance live for Ember Moon, so that was really cool to hear that live. Makes Ember Moon feel like an even much bigger deal, so that was really cool. They had Ronda Rousey actually in the crowd too, cheering on her fellow horsewomen and Shayna Baszler. And as far as the match goes, the big part of the psychology with the match was that Ember Moon and Baszler. Well, yeah, Baszler was getting Ember Moon was working on the left arm / shoulder, because there's a part where Ember Moon actually went ahead and did the move where she steps on the hand and like smashes her other foot into the elbow, giving you the illusion that it broke the arm. So you kind of got karma in the match coming back to do that to Shayna Baszler from Ember Moon. There's even a part where Shayna, I never saw before, she had rammed her shoulder trying to pop it back into place. And that was really cool. Trying to do that and basically just showing you how much pain she was in to try and overcome this. And it was a really pretty good match back and forth. Like I said, the psychology was the big thing in this. Baszler even countered the Eclipse and put it into her, I forget what it was called, the chokehold submission that she does. She did that to Ember Moon, and they were selling it for a long time, several minutes. This is something I'm actually going to mention in the upcoming next review about WrestleMania when it came to obviously Asuka tapping out to Charlotte. I like that here Ember Moon actually struggled for several minutes and then passed out, and Baszler wins the women's championship. And then from there, Baszler celebrated. She hugged her fellow horsewomen and Ronda Rousey, and Shayna Baszler is now your brand new NXT Women's Champion. And as we saw the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, Ember Moon has indeed made her debut to the main roster. As of the time of this recording, most of you probably listening to it will have already seen would have seen the superstar shakeup on Raw and SmackDown, so we'll have a clear direction of where Ember Moon's going. But I do like that they gave it to Shayna Baszler here for the championship. I think Shayna Baszler is definitely gonna go far as a heel. It just naturally looks like it comes to her being a heel in that ring, and I've definitely enjoyed her work. So it's gonna be really interesting as we move forward, especially given Ronda Rousey's performance at WrestleMania, which I'll talk more about in the next review that I would be doing with Too Sweet Cosplay, Steve-O, and the Man 0001. Alright, moving on to the NXT Tag Team Championships match. You had representing Bobby Fish, Adam Cole, as he teamed up with Kyle O'Reilly, representing Undisputed Era, versus Roderick Strong and the WWE UK Champion, Pete Dunne, and they took on the Authors of Pain. So it was a triple threat tag team match. Right from this get-go, Cole ends up getting taken out through the announce table, and I was almost like, this was pretty much no purpose almost having him in the match, but we'll see towards the end what ends up happening. But I guess that was his way to get rest, so he didn't have to go all out, because I'm pretty sure he was hurting so bad from that ladder match and everything from the start. After the performance he put on, hey, the man does deserve a rest. But with that said in mind, this is once again pretty hard-hitting tag team match. It's always good to see Pete Dunne in there. Definitely enjoy his work, and they were just basically going at it. Everybody had a pretty good got a lot of good offense. Everybody looked pretty good. But the real big story of this match came in the end when Pete Dunne had the match won for him and Strong ended up turning on Pete Dunne and gave I believe he put not Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly over Pete Dunne for the win, and the Undisputed Era ended up winning. This is at the point Adam Cole woke up, and Roderick Strong takes the offer that was given to him months ago to join the Undisputed Era. So he joins his fellow ROH brethren. Now I know there's been some mixed reactions. There's some people that feel this does make sense logically from a storyline standpoint, because he wants to be with the people he's most comfortable with and the ones he came came from ROH from, and they are the champions, so therefore he's rolling with the champions. Others say it doesn't make sense because from that standpoint, Pete Dunne had the titles won, and if you wanted to be a champion, then you would have already had the title won right there with Pete Dunne. But there you go. As far as how I feel on it, it is what it is. I'm okay with it. I didn't expect it. It was a genuine surprise. Maybe it could have been logically booked a little bit better. I'll give it that much. But hey, we have 4 people now in the Undisputed Era, so I look forward to seeing where it goes. I'll tell you this: when it comes to the way the Triple H and the NXT crew book their NXT shows compared to the main roster, 9 times out of 10, I have more faith in the NXT brand's booking than the main roster's brand. As we can see, the Authors of Pain did indeed make their debut to the main roster, where they faced Rhino and Heath Slater and made short work of them, but then they left Paul Ellering behind, and I'm like, what? So, my first initial thoughts was, okay, so Vince McMahon, it's been reported online that Vince McMahon is not a fan of having the old school managers or just having the art of a manager around. He's not a fan of that. And basically, that was my initial thoughts, but I'm like, well, hold on, I think Paul Ellering's like 65 years old, or he's somewhere around that ballpark, and I'm like, oh, maybe he doesn't want to travel. But he quickly debunked this on Twitter, stating he loves to travel. So if Paul Ellering himself is denying that it has anything to do with travel issues, that leaves no other choice but to go with what we've heard on many wrestling news websites and from credible sources, that it must probably be a Vince McMahon call, and he doesn't want the managers. And I'm like, he's been a big part of that, and it just shows the difference between NXT and the main roster, that literally the second they arrive on the main rosters, you get rid of a very important part of their act. Hopefully, Authors of Pain do well on the main roster. I would love to see a big match build up between them and the Bludgeon Brothers if they end up on SmackDown. But yeah, man, I think Authors of Pain have come a long way since they first arrived. They've had some really exciting matches, so hopefully Paul Ellering being gone doesn't hurt them too bad, but it does suck. If Paul Ellering is indeed okay with traveling, man, it would be awesome to see him continue to manage them in NXT. But yeah, that is what it is. Alright, so then we're going to move on to the match that did not main event, and I think rightfully so, and I'll get more to that later on, but it was the co-main event, which was the NXT Championship match. The champion Andrade Cien Almas with Zelina Vega defending the title against Aleister Black. So, the basic story of this match was that it was, once again, tremendous match between both Aleister and Andrade. They both teared the house down, with the fantastic talents that they are. But the big thing in this match was every time Aleister Black had the match won, Zelina Vega kept repeatedly, or repetitively, whichever one, constantly kept interfering in this match. And it's one thing after the other. There's even one point where she puts Andrade Cien Almas' foot on the ropes when he nearly had him won. When Aleister basically nearly had the match won. And you had a lot of great false finishes, near falls, like Almas hitting his DDT finisher, and Aleister Black kick out of that. But at the end of the match, the story here was that Zelina Vega went to the well one too many times, as she ended up basically, I think she went for like a crossbody off the top rope. Aleister Black dunked out the way, and Andrade Cien Almas had ended up catching her, and while I think he either caught her, he still had her holding her, or he put her to the outside of the ring. This was the opportunity that Aleister Black took to nail Almas with the black black, was it the black kick out, I think he calls it, yeah, the black kick out, I think it's called, and basically win the NXT championship. So it was a pretty good feel-good moment. We get to see Aleister Black, who I think has a tremendous amount of potential and has really proven himself. So it looks like he is going to be the new face of the NXT brand moving forward. Hopefully they do something with this guy on the main roster, and he doesn't just become another guy on the roster. So a lot of things looking up, and just tremendous effort. Much praise to both Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega. I felt Andrade Cien Almas was always very talented, but it was just something in NXT that wasn't clicking. When they added Zelina Vega with him, and they put the title on him out of nowhere, off of Drew McIntyre, this guy took the ball and he ran with it, and I am so glad to see, he finally find some momentum and a direction with his character. So I imagine we'll see him on the main roster soon. One of these days, perhaps he'll stay in NXT for a little bit more part of the year. Maybe he'll come up later. We got to see, but definitely, I'm thinking, once again, this is another talent that I hope when he gets to the main roster, and I say hope, the WWE will find something good for him. You never know, unfortunately, when these guys end up getting called up. With this incredible main event, so the match that had been building for 1 year, an unsanctioned match, Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa. Man, this match was, it had everything in it, what can be said, and this was definitely, I think, the right main event. It does go to show sometimes that the championship match does not always have the main event. If the storyline, if the characters, and everything that's been building around it is very important enough and it takes priority over the title, I think sometimes, you can get away with that. I'm not saying always go and do what they did during CM Punk's title reign, because they were clearly John Laurinaitis versus John Cena. That had no business. While arguments could be made for some of the other big matches they had involving Rock and Brock against Cena, yeah, come on. So, but this is one of those cases where I think it's okay to let the NXT title take a sort of a, the co-main event spot in favor of this being the main event. So, the first thing when Tommaso Ciampa came out, man, he had no music, but the crowd heat spoke for itself, and any time they were chanting a-hole, F you, all that stuff, anytime in this day and age you can get that massive amount of heat, especially when you're as talented in the ring as Tommaso Ciampa is, you've got gold. You've done something right. It is such a tremendous art that you don't get to see quite often. And hey, I admit, I'm probably guilty of it myself, when you get a heel turn from a wrestler and everything, you cheer for it. But anytime that you can get so much heel heat in this day and age that people suspend their disbelief or belief or whatever, man, good stuff here. So Ciampa really brought in the heat. Gargano comes out to a huge pop, and these guys go at it. This match was pretty long. I think it went almost about 40 minutes, 43 minutes, roughly around something like that. I will say was a little bit too long for my taste. I thought there were some parts it slowed down a little bit in certain areas, and I thought that there were some parts that you could have shaved off to make it a little shorter, but at the end of the day, it's not going to take away from what great this match, because the match was trying to tell a story. Wasn't as fast-paced as their match they had a few years ago. Was it a couple of years ago or so on the Cruiserweight Classic? But that being said, this match had a lot of great action, and it was more about the storytelling, the narrative, which is something I always can appreciate, because if there's a match that has a good story behind it, there you go. Man, you had some good stuff in here, like they took the They took the ring mat, the outside mat. They took the outside mat off, and I think it was Tommaso Ciampa that took a sick power bomb onto the concrete floor. Ouch. Yikes, but it looked like they landed it safely, in terms of about as safe as you could land taking a bump on concrete, right? Either way, it's gonna mess you. That's gonna definitely be agonizing on the back. You even had one part where Ciampa took they had a plant there for a fan where he takes the the crutch away, which was a big part of this feud. And I just thought it was funny how the security is basically just trying to take the poor guy away with one crutch left. laughing. It's like, you can't just take a person's crutch away. So that was kind of funny, but you could tell he was a plant. And yeah, these came in to really, they like really bent those crutches in half. You had a lot of cool spots where they took the turnbuckles off, and man, you just had a lot of stuff. There was a lot of hard hitting action. Like I said, just like the ladder match, there's just too many different spots in this match to like go over through. I mean, from turnbuckles exposing and super kicks, and you had power bombs and a lot of different knee assaults, to the face and everything. Right, knee to the face, like not Nakamura. But yeah, basically, like I said, just see the match. It is really incredible. It slows down to certain points and everything, but they were trying to tell a really big dramatic story here. And one of the big things of the ending is that Tommaso Ciampa, he takes off his knee brace and he tries to use it as a weapon. Gargano, I think Gargano eventually got it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to remember based off of my first viewing. And what happened is he struggles and hesitates to hit Tommaso Ciampa with it, and he, I think, eventually lets it go, and Ciampa takes it, basically tries to go ahead and take Gargano down with it, and Gargano reverses it and puts him in the Gargano escape using the knee brace, and he really cranks the pressure back on this. It looked painful, like, oh my gosh, you want to see John Cena with his STF, like, almost take notes from this, like, yeah, do stuff like this, similar, and everything. That being said, this, of course, makes Tommaso Ciampa tap out, and Johnny Gargano is back in NXT and gets the big victory, and his wife Candice LeRae comes out and celebrates, and it's a feel-good moment to end NXT Takeover New Orleans, or Orleans, however you prefer to say it. Yeah, man, this was an incredible match. Like I said, there were parts that, it went for a pretty long distance and it slowed down in certain sections, but other than that, man, everything else in the match was really well done. The story, the psychology, everything, and just building up the story that they had been doing for a whole year. This is professional wrestling done right, and this is why, if you are a wrestling fan, anyone who's stuck with the product over the years, however long you've been watching, whether it's been for several decades or you're new, this is why, a lot of fans love professional wrestling, for moments and matches and stories like this. And overall, like I said, I thought NXT New Orleans was definitely, in terms of WWE programming of the WrestleMania weekend, the best show. I thought from top to bottom, it was definitely a much better show than WrestleMania. Don't get me wrong, WrestleMania had some big moments, but because of questionable booking, as I'll get into that in the next review for WrestleMania, it kind of hurts the show a little bit, but I enjoyed this show thoroughly from top to bottom, and it just love how NXT keeps the booking simple, and they don't overdo it and everything. They kind of keep things simple, and sometimes that's all it needs to be. Sometimes less is more. And with that said in mind, I definitely recommend you guys check out this show. It is tremendous, and I will be back with a review. As mentioned earlier, I will definitely be back with a review for WrestleMania 34. And joining me for that will be Two Sweet Cosplays, Steve-O and the Man 0001, who both were in attendance. They're out there in New Orleans all weekend for WrestleMania 34. That being said, here are my plugs. So, if you obviously are a fan of WWE or professional wrestling, we'll be doing more audio reviews like this for big events that you can listen to as you go about your everyday life. Also, if you're a fan of Dragon Ball, shonen manga, or anime adapted from shonen manga, make sure to check out my upcoming short film, Battle of Deception, as it's based on those types of genres. I currently have lots of videos such as the teaser trailer and the behind-the-scene interview videos right here on my channel, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified as soon as I release more content regarding Battle of Deception, Dragon Ball, and even WWE. And make sure to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both at SonGoshuaku. All links will be in the description below.